Are frugal people deprived? Doesn't it mean that you are going without if you are a frugal person? Oh, I can't wait to dive into this topic with you, K-Squad. Here we go. Being frugal doesn't mean you can't spend money. In fact, the two essentials for frugal spending are the following. 1, you are spending on what you value. 2, it's in the budget that you yourself created based on your values and your own personal finances. I like to think being frugal is the art of spending with intention. So while the perception might be that there is a sense of lack when you are frugal, my experience has been the complete opposite. There is freedom in frugality. I am thrilled to bring this video to you in collaboration with one of my favorite frugal YouTube channels here in YouTube land, Under the Median. Hope and Larry and I became buddies a while back. I actually remember shouting them out on my channel after seeing a few of their videos when they were under 10,000 subscribers. Now they are on the road to 150,000 subscribers. It's so amazing. I'm so proud of them. I'm so honored to be their friend, and I'm so grateful for the content that they consistently share here in our frugal community. I positively love their channel, and I'm so happy to be working together today. Thank you, Hope and Larry, for all you do and for having me this week to discuss this very important topic. We also did a collab last year together. I'll leave it at the end of this video if you want to check that out also. So if you are new here visiting me on the Kaden channel, I want you to know that it's not my style to tell you that the way that I live is the right way to live, and if you're not frugal, that that's the wrong way to live. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just here to share my stories, and if you are looking for ways to save money and try to find a way that makes your life still feel full and fulfilling and happy, with a slightly different strategy in life, perhaps living frugally, I want to be as helpful as I can. I'm going to share a few stories with you so that you can see from my perspective and in my experience that frugality does not equal deprivation at all. Let's start with where I live. Your home, your mortgage, your rent is one of the most expensive things that most people spend monthly, unless you've paid off that mortgage, which is my ultimate goal down the road. But let me tell you a brief story about what happened to me several years ago and kind of what angled my life toward a frugal lifestyle when I needed it the most. Back when I became a single mom, I was living in the state of Florida, and me and my ex-husband decided that this was the best route if me and my son moved back to Maine near my family. Long story short, to say the least. And suddenly I needed to find a job. I needed a place to live. And have you ever heard that quote, when you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen? I feel like this is kind of what happened at this time in my life. I was very fearful of how I was going to afford everything. And at that time, a job opened up. One of my dear friends that is a dance teacher up here in Maine was going out on maternity leave, and they needed a long-term sub, and that is one of my specialties. So they hired me as their long-term sub dance teacher for that entire semester, which is honestly like a dream job for me, getting to teach dance all day in a school setting. It was amazing. And also, I had a family member whose apartment opened up downstairs, so I was able to rent out that apartment for me and my son. At this point in my life, I was very grateful to have an income, and I was also super grateful to have a roof over my head in a safe place for me and my son. And I quickly got on the budget train because I did not know the ins and outs of budgeting or really the true value that came out of budgeting until this season in my life, when you realize you've got to figure out a way to do things better so that you can provide for your family and have everything you need. So at first it was more about the basics, like, do we have food on the table? I wasn't looking for extravagant things. So learning how to budget and learning how to be frugal, you really learn needs versus wants. And I feel like even though it was kind of a rougher time, it really helped clarify what was important in my life, and starting that real consciousness of frugal living really changed my life, but in a good way. Because then you can start to eliminate things that you don't really value and in fact might have been wasteful on, not even really realizing it. But there were things that I was wasting money on that I could have been smarter about so that I could have the things that I really want. And I truly think, like I said at the beginning of this video, being frugal is the art of spending with intention. And if you're a person right now that's struggling a little with your finances, learning to spend with intention can change your entire life and your entire financial life for sure. For 7 years, I rented that space because it was truly all I could afford while I was getting all my ducks in a row. Through those years of practicing frugality, I didn't feel like I went without, but I did have to make some decisions of what was most important to me and what was not. In fact, sadly, the last few years that I was living in that space, I won't get into too many of the details because I don't like speaking poorly about anybody, but the relationship with this family member, some of you already know this, went very sour. And I don't really have a lot of toxic relationships in my life, but this was probably the worst one that I ever had. And it never really made sense, and it still doesn't make sense, but it was a very painful time, and it was a very like walking on eggshells time. You never knew what you were gonna say or do to set this person off, and it was very unsettling internally. I don't know if you guys have ever had that situation where your home environment does not feel emotionally healthy, or like there's chance of verbal discourse. Anyway, if that has been your situation, you can relate. If it hasn't, I'm so glad it hasn't been. But my values were saying, I need to get into a space with my son where we are on our own, where we are not going to be verbally attacked, and we are going to not be living with that fear that this person is going to barge in and say things that are hurtful, again, for reasons we never really understood. But again, I digress. The point of this is by living the frugal life and by choosing to save to purchase a home above all else, because I knew that was the most important thing in our lives, I was able to purchase a home a couple years ago, and it was the best decision that I've probably made in this lifetime when it comes to finances. It changed everything. And so while there was a season of making harder decisions, while I was putting what I really wanted ahead of everything else, the end result has led to that feeling of abundance and joy and a freedom that I hadn't experienced in a very long time. And while it was a season of hard decision making, the end result is so abundant now. And I'm really grateful that I was able to have that patience and determination during that season to get where we got. My dear audience, if you're going through a time right now where you are struggling in your finances, consider browsing through my channel, through Under the Median's channel, looking for frugal living tips, looking for ways to save money. They're probably gonna offer you ways that maybe you hadn't ever thought of before, or maybe like, you thought about it in theory, but haven't really put it into practice. When you're watching these videos filled from our channels, I hope you feel that positivity and encouragement and these little strategies that really pile up over time to get you into the financial position that you are dreaming of. And sometimes it's just the small stuff, you guys. But patience, devotion to the end result that you're looking for is going to be so worth it in the long run. And did I feel deprived while all this was going on? No, I was still living my life. I still had food on the table. I was still having fun with my son. We were still playing with toys. We were still doing puzzles. We were still going for walks. We were still reading books. We keep living. It's not like a life of deprivation and going without. You still can have so much fun. And again, on our channels, we have tons of way to have fun that is free or low cost with tons of value attached. Next, let's talk about transportation for a minute. When I moved here also, I had a different car. And when you live in Florida, the way you drive could be just slightly different when you have piles of snow and ice and you're trying to safely get from point A to point B. Well, the car that I had in Florida did not work as well, you guys, here in the state of Maine with all the snowstorms. I had a baby in the back seat and I was getting caught on ice and snow more often than I even like to think about. And my safety was starting to be questionable. Like sometimes we were skidding. I think I only had maybe front wheel drive, or we didn't have all wheel drive, and I was getting stuck and I was feeling panicky. And as a single mom with no one there beside me, besides my baby, I was like, oh, I really think I need a different vehicle. So when I went to look at cars and I found out when you lease, don't do it. Your car payment was lower. I could have a newer car. Oh gosh, you guys, the new car smell. I kind of fell for it. I'm just going to tell you. Just dove right in with that. All-wheel drive and the leather seats. And oh my gosh, I was just like, this feels good. It did until it didn't. So first of all, I still have that car. But second of all, when I realized that leasing is not your best option, I actually have a couple videos on that. I will leave those in the description if you want to hear more about that. This was also the time that I first heard the book, The Total Money Makeover. I listened to the audiobook by Dave Ramsey. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I don't want debt. This is awful. And I was like, what can I do to get rid of this? Because I didn't have any credit card debt at the time. I had been really mindful of that. And I had started budgeting. I made sure that was all done. So I had no credit card debt. I think I had finally paid off my student loans. So now I just had this car that I had leased and I wanted it off my back. So in those videos that I share down in the description, I worked my tail off to save up $20,000 with also like a $10,000 buffer because I didn't want to just give all my money for the car, but I didn't want that debt anymore. So anyway, I had $10,000 saved for in case it happens. And then the $20,000 I paid off my car. So I haven't had a car payment in a few years, knock on wood. Going forward, I don't want to lease again. I want to own outright. I don't want to have debt anymore, especially for a vehicle. This was when I kind of put the frugal pedal to the metal and was in super save mode, and I was able to accomplish this goal. And you guys, let me know in the comments, what is the biggest financial goal you have ever set for yourself and reached and just felt like so much pride, or you felt just so relieved when it was over? Let us know in the comments so we can revel in the bliss of it with you. So back to, here I am with the frugal pedal to the metal. Did I feel deprived while I was trying to do this? Again, the answer is really no, because I felt like the value of getting this car payment off my back outweighed the fact that I couldn't go get fast food 3 times a week, or it outweighed I couldn't get a cute little bag, or outweighed the fact that I couldn't get a new outfit. Again, bringing it back to what you value. What do you value the most? I really now take great pride in being in as little debt as possible. It feels like a lot of weight on my shoulders. I currently just have my mortgage that I am working on. And that one, I feel like it's inevitable that you're going to have a mortgage for a while. And most people can't just buy a house outright. And I'm okay with that. But I'm also taking steps to pay it down early. I'll leave a video down below with that if you want more information on how I'm doing that. Are frugal people deprived? Absolutely not. We are intentionally spending our money where we find the most value, and we're spending less or none in the areas where it doesn't matter to us. And I think that's the key with frugal living, the art of spending with intention when you are putting your efforts and your dollars toward the things that bring you value, that bring joy to your life, that really are worth it. You can feel almost unapologetic about spending in those areas because you know that's for you. You know that's important to you. So do we spend money? Heck yes, we do. But on the things that matter, you know what I mean? I could talk for hours on this topic, but I know you only have so much time in your life to check out these videos. So at this time, please take a second, go into my comment section and leave a comment. How do you feel? Are frugal people deprived? Knowing what I just shared with you, do you feel that frugality is deprivation, or do you feel that it is not? Let me know in the comments. Also, if this is a topic you want to talk more about, like if you are struggling with this kind of topic or you have kind of questions circling this topic, please leave them in the comments section below so perhaps I can address them in another future video. All right, so if this topic has sparked up some energy in you and you want to hear more, please head to Under the Median's channel to watch their video on this exact same topic. And then if you want to keep going, I'm leaving you videos in the description and I'm going to leave you a couple more here to check out when you're feeling inspired to listen about frugality and possibly get some more ideas. Thank you, Hope and Larry over at Under the Median, for having me this week. If you are coming over from their channel, welcome here at the Kaden channel. We are so happy to have you. Hit subscribe if you want to get your weekly dose of frugality every single Friday. K-Squad members that are always here, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next video. Bye, everyone.